All right, no, that was it. No, when I get nervous, I tell the truth.
Before his tragic end in April 2016, Prince was reportedly gathering information that could have shattered the polished empire of Jay-Z and Beyoncé. Insiders now claim those very materials, long thought buried, are leaking again. Despite what they describe as desperate attempts to buy and erase every trace, the whispers say the Carters believed they'd silenced every copy, every drive, every hard disk. Yet something seems to be resurfacing, and it has them scrambling. If the leaks are real, the question is no longer whether Prince was digging into their secrets, but who's holding his evidence now, and why it's re-emerging at the exact moment Diddy's world is collapsing in court. Prince's passing was officially ruled accidental, but the chaos that followed blurred lines between business and betrayal. The timing couldn't have been more volatile. Only months earlier, he had placed rare recordings on Jay-Z's streaming service Tidal, insisting he trusted the rapper's promise to protect artists' rights. In life, that alliance looked like a symbol of mutual respect. In his passing, it turned into a legal war. When the singer left no will, his estate accused Tidal and Roc Nation of backdating paperwork and claiming rights to hundreds of songs that were never authorized. Those allegations filed in court described a scramble by Jay-Z's companies to hold on to Prince's entire vault as if it were already theirs.
You one of Jay-Z's day ones, like one of the original Circle crew members, brothers.
30 years.
30 years. How'd y'all first connect?
Streets, man. It was a connection through a mutual.
By 2017, Jay-Z had turned the dispute into music. On his album 444, the track caught their eyes attacked Prince's estate advisors, accusing them of selling out. I sat down with Prince eye to eye. He told me his wishes before he passed. He rapped, drawing a line between himself and the estate's lawyers. The statement was personal, but it did something else too. It cemented the feud in public memory. Lawyers counted that Tidal's contract had been fabricated, documents allegedly backdated. The estate said communications with Prince's representatives didn't match what Jay-Z's team was claiming. To the estate, it looked like manipulation. To Jay-Z, it was a smear. Either way, it raised the same question that still haunts this story. What was really inside Prince's vault that made billionaires fight like this? Jay.
Jay?
Yeah.
At this point? Nah, I would want, why?
Soon after the lawsuits began, reports surfaced that Jay-Z had flown Prince's sister Ta to New York. Sources familiar with the talk said he offered around $40 million to buy the late artist's catalog outright. The price stunned the industry, not because it was high, but because it seemed low for control over decades of unreleased work. Analysts wondered what else was in that vault. What kind of materials could make even a $40 million offer look like a bargain? Some insiders now claim that Prince kept not only music, but personal documentation, notes about executives, rival artists, and their off-record dealings. Among those names, they say, were Jay-Z and Beyoncé. None of it is verified, but the rumor fits a pattern. Every person who tried to control Prince's legacy ended up fighting over more than music.
How do you know I'm not a gangster? Or used to be a gangster? I've been in the music industry for 30 years.
Yeah, the industry's filled with gangsters.
Jay-Z's defenders call it just business, but the timeline paints a different picture of someone whose entire career mirrors the same ruthless energy he once rapped about. The record is public. In 1999, he pleaded guilty after stabbing producer Lance Rivera during an argument over a bootleg album release, escaping with probation. 2 years later, he was arrested when a loaded weapon was found in his entourage's car outside a Manhattan club. His bodyguard took the charge, and Jay-Z walked free. Long before that, he admitted in interviews that he'd made his early money selling substances on Brooklyn corners, saying the streets taught him everything about risk and profit. For years, he's rebranded that past as mythology, but the aggression never really left. It just moved into contracts and corporate takeovers. By the mid-2010s, Jay-Z had turned from rapper to mogul, packaging himself as a clean-cut visionary alongside his equally untouchable wife. Their brand depended on power, semantics without stain, which is exactly why the Prince battle mattered. It threatened to expose an unguarded side of him, a businessman accused of falsifying papers, manipulating grieving relatives, and seizing creative property in the confusion that followed a superstar's passing. According to filings, Tidal streamed more than 15 albums of Prince's music after he was gone, even works the artist had never approved for online release. The estate accused Jay-Z's company of exploiting that window, betting no one would challenge him. In court, it turned ugly. Emails were withheld under what lawyers called a common interest doctrine, a technical shield that made investigators suspicious. For those watching, it began to look less like a misunderstanding and more like a power play gone wrong. Man, I think that they don't want if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part.
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make up their...
While all that unfolded, another storm gathered. Sean Diddy Combs, the same man who once hosted Jay-Z and Beyoncé at his lavish white parties, was being accused of running a criminal empire behind the facade of luxury. The federal charges now claim those parties mass coercive networks where private encounters were recorded, stored, and sometimes used as leverage. Former publicists and guests have confirmed that Diddy maintained archives of video from his so-called freak-off gatherings. Prosecutors described them as elaborate performances arranged by employees and filmed for control. The idea that someone like Prince, who distrusted every industry middleman, might have collected evidence about such behavior doesn't sound far-fetched anymore, especially when several lawsuits mention that the Carters attended those circles before cutting contact.
But Diddy parties and Diddy After Dark are two different things. I want to go on record of saying I never saw Jay-Z at a Diddy After Dark party. Then again, I wasn't there, so I don't know who was there. But I know that I saw Jay-Z at the Diddy party.
Jay-Z's name has appeared in multiple filings around Diddy's orbit, including a recent civil case where both were accused of misconduct at an early 2000s party. He dismissed it as blackmail, but the pattern is impossible to ignore. Once again, his lawyers issued statements, denied involvement, and pointed to public alibis. Yet, in gossip circles, the overlap between Diddy's downfall and the resurfacing of alleged Prince files is fueling suspicion. If the two stories are unrelated, it's an extraordinary coincidence. If they're connected, it could explain why the Carters team is said to be monitoring every new leak site that mentions Prince's name. Prince's vault has always been mythic. Rows of tapes, video, handwritten letters, and unreleased collaborations said to fill entire rooms at Paisley Park. But according to people who worked on the estate's cataloging project, not every item in that vault was musical. Some described sealed envelopes, others digital drives with unknown contents. One former advisor told a trade publication that certain materials were sensitive, not meant for commercial release. After the Universal deal for the vault collapsed amid legal confusion, those materials reportedly changed hands multiple times. Somewhere in that chain, files may have vanished. That's where the current rumor starts. A batch of digital archives allegedly lifted during the early audits has surfaced again, and the chatter says those files contain material that links business empires, secret recordings, and private leverage across the very same network now being dragged into court. And it was pretty much said like Jay doesn't really want...
And it was pretty much said like Jay doesn't really want awards. Well, he go to the Grammys.
Right.
He you know, come into the black-owned spaces. Let's figure out how to work together so that way we have the relationship when it matters, not when it's convenient for you and your image. Because they all call us when the story...
That's true. The implications are enormous. It would mean that what began as a streaming dispute over music has spiraled into a fight for control over reputations, alliances, and perhaps evidence of behavior far beyond entertainment. Insiders say the Carters have reached out quietly to several of Prince's former associates, offering consultation work and non-disclosure deals. Others insist they're simply protecting their image. Either way, it's clear something has them nervous. Every week brings another rumor about encrypted drives, about documents referencing Diddy, Roc Nation, and private investigators from Prince's circle. None of it has been proven, but too many people are talking for it to disappear. The closer we look, the clearer the line becomes. From the vault in Minneapolis to the lawsuits in New York to the federal indictments in LA. And when the estate finally finished its initial inventory, a small group of insiders reportedly noticed something strange. A few catalog numbers listed on old manifests were missing from the final report. They weren't songs. They were marked only as miscellaneous media. That they say is what everyone's looking for now. The non-M musical files. The ones that might explain why powerful people are suddenly pretending they never knew Prince at all.
And I'm not saying allegedly.
Oh.
I'm saying, Sean Carter, you're a piece of shit. Taking Pimp C wasn't bad enough. You just want to go down there and you want to just remove all of the balls from every real gangster in Houston.
As prosecutors moved deeper into Sean Diddy Combs' empire, the allegations in court filings read like the script of a surreal thriller. Investigators describe an organized system behind those notorious freak-off events, assistants arranging transportation, private jets booked under fake names, and entire hotel floors rented out for nights that blurred entertainment and intimidation. The indictments point to the movement of cash, medical supplies, and performance enhancers. The evidence includes receipts, digital logs, and what they call multimedia recordings recovered during raids in LA and Miami. Reports of 1,000 bottles of lubricant seized during searches became a tabloid punchline, but prosecutors insist they are proof of method. They say everything was documented, cataloged, and sometimes used as leverage. Combs denies all criminal wrongdoing and insists these stories will collapse in court. But the pattern now exposed has left the industry shivering.
Still. And then you have celebrities like a Jay-Z. And this is where I think the whole fallout with the Beyoncé, she's just kind of in the crosshairs because of all of what's going on in the media with respect to Jay-Z and stuff. But with Jay, you know, when he complained at the Grammys about the Grammys not giving Beyoncé Artist of the Year, when she's the most decorated Grammy-winning artist ever, we invited him to be honored at our award show.
The deeper the case gets, the more names get tangled in it. In one civil filing that briefly lit up headlines, Jay-Z and Beyoncé were listed as witnesses who might have attended a Diddy-hosted event years ago. Within days, an amended version of that same filing erased every mention of them. Jay-Z's attorney stepped forward immediately, saying the rapper wasn't even in Florida at the time, pointing to public appearances in New York that proved it. That moment captured the strange dynamic around the Carters. Their names surface, then vanish, replaced by silence and tightened legal walls. Insiders call it the fastest cleanup machine in the business. To some, it's evidence of innocence. To others, it's what panic looks like when a story touches too close to home. The rumor now circulating among insiders is that the newest leaks, the ones fueling whispers about the Carters, don't come from the courts at all, but from documents Prince himself compiled. Those papers, they say, were part of a private investigation the musician was conducting before his passing, focusing on industry exploitation and secret deals among major figures. When Prince passed away, his vault wasn't just a treasured chest of unreleased songs. It was a black box. Allegedly, copies of that archive were made and stored outside Paisley Park. The current leaks, we are told, could be fragments of that backup, emails, notes, maybe even video snippets. If true, it would explain why people with limitless wealth are suddenly trying to buy silence in places that can't be traced.
I mean, why waste my time?
And sometimes you respond to something that brings way more attention to it, too.
That too, and it's just, it goes into another space, and then you just like, oh, y'all not listening to me.
But then you'll have somebody else that'll say to you.
Jay-Z's reputation makeover after Prince's passing plays like a case study in image control. His 444 album positioned him as a sage figure preaching ownership, integrity, and emotional honesty. But those same years saw his companies accused of manipulating contracts and faking agreements with Prince's estate. In filings, NPG Records alleged that Tidal backdated an equity term sheet to justify streaming more than 500 songs. Emails from the period, prosecutors said, didn't match the supposed deal. It was a direct contradiction to the story Jay-Z told on record that he was fulfilling Prince's wishes. To fans, it sounded noble. To lawyers, it looked like a cover. Prince had spent decades fighting corporate control, writing slave on his own face to protest record executives. Jay-Z, meanwhile, had turned corporate control into his religion. That clash between an artist guarding freedom and a mogul building monopoly wasn't about philosophy. It was about power and who gets to define legacy. We can't ignore how this tension mirrors the larger storm surrounding Diddy. Both men built empires on charm and connections. Both ruled scenes that now look radioactive. As investigators trace Diddy's money flows, they're mapping relationships that run through entire decades of hip-hop's upper class. Several insiders claim that blackmail material, recordings from those extravagant gatherings, circulated quietly through the industry long before any raids. People traded favors to keep clips buried. Prince, ever suspicious of networks built on leverage, reportedly warned confidants that artists were being owned in new ways. Whether he meant literal tapes or symbolic contracts, the message sounds prophetic.
You say greed?
Greed.
The money?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the power, one of the two. I mean, it
I
looks
don't
more
know.
like power.
It's this spell, right?
Right.
That Jay got. That's why I kind of look at Kanye and Dame and all them. They the old me.
Right.
They the YouTube me.
Yeah. Right.
You understand what I'm saying? That this Dame look like the old YouTube me to me, because he hurt, bro.
When we look back at how aggressively the Carters protect their image, the pieces start to align. Earlier this year, a high-profile talk show host issued a public apology after airing an interview in which a former collaborator made disturbing claims about Jay-Z and Beyoncé's alleged ties to Diddy. Within days, their lawyers contacted the show and demanded those segments be cut, calling the claims baseless. The host complied, editing the video and issuing a statement about legal limits. That kind of retraction is rare in modern media, and it shows how quickly the Carters team can extinguish sparks before they become flames. Behind closed doors, producers and journalists say they've been warned off covering anything that connects the couple to Diddy's unfolding scandal. Every edit, every deleted post adds to the mystery of what's being hidden. Meanwhile, the leaks tied to Prince's vault are spreading in darker corners of the internet. Anonymous accounts claim to have possession of encrypted drives that include communications between prominent figures, financial records, and footage of high-profile events. None of it has been authenticated, yet snippets appear and vanish almost as quickly as they surface. We're hearing that attempts to trace those files lead back to people who once worked for Prince's estate during the first chaotic year after his passing. Some of them allegedly took data before the new administrators stepped in. Others were quietly rehired by major music companies connected to Roc Nation. If those connections are real, it means parts of the vault's content were dispersed long before lawyers could lock it down.
Seen Puffy independent. All the people that got hated on in the game, look where they ended up. So I can see my future. I can see what's going on here. This independency is gonna be big. I'm gonna have my own. But this ain't to just target him. I just a book about my life, a movie about my life.
Entertainment figures who intersected with him financially or socially. The Carters are not defendants, not even named targets, but their proximity makes them a constant topic in speculation circles. Some industry veterans insist that what Prince documented wasn't criminal activity at all, just evidence of how far artists go to protect their business. Others whisper that it's something worse, proof of deals made to keep silence, favors exchanged to hide compromising material, and powerful intermediaries who act as cleaners when stories threaten billion-dollar brands. The strange irony is that Jay-Z once framed himself as the heir to Prince's fight for independence. Yet, everything we are learning about the Vault dispute paints him as the mirror opposite, a mogul who wants every master, every narrative, every trace of dissent under his control. Even Beyoncé's carefully curated image of perfection fits the same pattern. The couple's empire thrives on purity and discipline. So any association with scandal, even tangential, threatens the foundation. When their names surfaced in the Diddy filings, their legal response was swift and absolute. When those references disappeared, the story only grew louder. Each denial makes people wonder what exactly they're working so hard to suppress.
So, as we look at Jay-Z's life, he's a billionaire, married to Beyoncé. Do you feel like he's truly reaped the karma of all his actions?
Where the karma is at?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you don't see.
Well.
Or do you feel like he ever will?
I feel like if you done people wrong, you know you done people.
What remains constant across all these threads is Prince's shadow. He distrusted corporate alliances and warned that ownership of art was ownership of identity. If the leaks coming out now truly originated from his private archive, they could rewrite how we see the entire hierarchy of celebrity power. Imagine if those documents show that TA blackmail, not talent, kept certain figures untouchable for decades. Imagine if the same couple who built an empire preaching empowerment were also part of a system designed to keep others quiet. It's a theory with no proof, but one that explains the sudden intensity of silence from people who usually control every headline. We are left with a chilling symmetry.